Part of the many children's activities that happened on Children's Day was a reading event organized by a bookshop in Lagos. We found it creative and relevant. The children who were part of it found it enjoyable. Here's a bit on how it went. It was Children's Day. What better way to celebrate than to get children together to learn, read, and have fun? The Latana bookshop environment seemed perfect as they hosted the children.
Now we'll learn 3 things about a book. Can you guys tell them? Come on, guys. Tab. And what does that stand for?
Deji Balogun, a teacher, educator, and entrepreneur, was the guest invited to share time with the children. He taught the children what makes up a book.
The title of a book is the name of a book. The author of a book is the person who writes the story, okay, or who writes the book. And then the blurb is what? Guys, tell them what the blurb is. A people into the book, all right? So we know that the title of this book is Amelia Bedelia. The author of this book is Herman Parrish, and then the blurb is just this little description at the back of the book. So title, author, and...
The book in focus was Amelia Bedelia on the Job by Herman Parrish. Balogun read to them.
What does he coach? Baseball, said Amelia Bedelia. Baseball, said Mrs. Shaw. Ha! And basketball, added Amelia Bedelia. Ha 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 ha, said Mrs. Shaw. That gave Amelia Bedelia another important clue about what her father did for a living. He had already put together the slide for her swing set years ago, so he wasn't working on that kind of slide. Then she remembered how excited her father got when ball players on TV would slide into the second base or home plate. So, Don had been right about baseball. That must be the kind of slide he was working on, a baseball slide. But how could he be working on those kind of slides on his computer? If he slid into his laptop, he might break it. Maybe her dad was writing instructions on how to slide and score without being tagged out. So Cliff had been right too. Her father must be a coach, a baseball coach. Now that was the job she could be proud of.
The children also read.
So the words plants and factory actually mean the same thing. A lot of times in a plant or factory, things are made on an assembly line. Good job, Clay, said Mrs. Shock. Very nice. Clay broke into a big smile and sat back down in his seat.
Getting into the car, he kissed Amelia Bedelia's mother on the cheek and blew a kiss to Amelia Bedelia in the back seat. How was your day, honey? Asked
Amelia Bedelia's mother.
Amelia Bedelia's mother. Great, he said. Remember those slides I was working on last night? They were a big hit tonight. I scored a lot of points.
Is that like being a coach? Asked Amelia Bedelia.
Good job.
You could say that. Said her father.
Very good.
I just did, said Amelia Bedelia.
Children and teacher read together.
The voice in her brain kept repeating, "What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? My father is a coach," said Amelia Bedelia finally.
There was time for the children to express their thoughts.
He met out Dr. Dugood.
Okay.
So when she comes and she wants to be someone, he just say, Dr. Dugood is here.
Dr.
He wants to come and do good.
And for the teacher to share his experiences.
I was 6 years old when I traveled to Paris. At 6 years old, I traveled to Paris. I was unaccompanied. I had nobody travel with me, not my mom or my dad or my brothers or my sisters. I traveled all by myself, and I had the best of time. I was on a Ferris wheel. I went to all the cafes. I went to the Eiffel Tower. I had an amazing time. But you see, fast forward to when I was 30, it took me 24 years to actually make that trip. At 6 years old, I made that trip in my head, under my daddy's dining table with a book in my hand. I'll say that again. I had a book in my hand, under my daddy's dining table at 6 years old, and I dreamt about Paris. I read about Paris. I had an amazing experience about Paris. And then as an adult, it took me 24 years. So I was 6, I went to Paris unaccompanied, I flew first class, I had the greatest time of my life. But at 24, I had to go to the embassy, queue for hours, get a visa, get my passport, get my ticket. Cost me a lot. Flew economy before I finally made that trip. Yes. So you see, children, listen to this, listen to the open secret. Every child can travel the world with a library card. Yes. Adults need their debit cards and their credit cards to travel the world. But you as children can travel the world with a what? A library card. So start to read.
It was generally a good learning time for the young ones and the adults that were with them.
I had fun. I had an awesome experience. It was full of adventure. We read books. We learnt about the tab, which is title, author, and blur.
So tell me, what would you tell other kids out there about it?
I'll tell them that it's a fun experience. You learn more when you read. You can be a leader of tomorrow when you read. And I'll tell them that reading is a good thing, that they should always try it out.
Amelia Bedelia on the job. It was very interesting, and I even got to read. Everyone should learn to read because reading makes you to become a future leader. Readers are leaders.
My idea has always been that you don't make children have to read, you make children want to read. Because the having to read makes it look as though you're punishing them. Yeah, even as a father myself, whenever I tell my kids, go read your book, in the tone with which I tell them, it's almost punitive. It's almost as though you're denying them of pleasure. So for me, I think the best way to get a child to read is to get them to enjoy it, to get them to see it as watching TV or cartoons or playing a game. So fun learning for me would make a child want to read, as against just having them to read because they have to read. No, make them read because they want to read, not that they have to read.
I think for them, most of them are really, really used to technology. They are really used to ICT, drawing, forgetting that they really need to go back to reading, which is the most important thing in education. If you are unable to read, you can't deliver. You can't deliver. But I think for this kind of event, it should always come up, not really for Children's Day alone, but quarterly or something. It will really, really help.
If you're a senior secondary school student out there, the season 4 of our National Book Review Essay Competition is on. Just in case you are not familiar with it, what we do every year is to announce a book, ask senior secondary school students to read it, write an essay of not more than 1,500 words to review it, and send it to us. Our panel of judges then assess all the essays and pick the best 3, who are then fully sponsored on a trip to an international book event. Previous winners of this competition went to Frankfurt, London, and Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates, and they had the time of their lives. The trips are usually fun, very educative, and life-changing for the winners. The grand prize this year for the best 3 participants is a sponsored trip to the 2019 ButcherCon Mystery Books event in Dallas, Texas, United States of America. So that's where we're heading this year. How do you participate? All the information you need can be found on www.channelstv.com/bookclub. You can also call any of the 2 numbers on your screen. But just to let you know so that you can get on to it, our selected book this year is titled A Pelican of the Wilderness by Jacqueline Agwe. How do you get it? Again, you will have to visit our webpage for more information or call any of the 2 numbers we displayed. Well, I hope you have had a great time with us today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.